I started playing Elite Dangerous recently and I was really interested in checking it out, but I had some experiences very soon after starting that made me really doubt whether I wanted to keep playing. I did the tutorial and then I was just doing some very simple missions in the starter area that I was in, but I ended up leaving it by mistake and not really understanding that I was actually leaving the system. I got a notice saying that my permit had been revoked and I wouldn't be able to go back to the starter area. And it was so early in the game that I really felt like I had screwed up and I was trying to figure out what I should do. I stopped playing for that day and I did a little research and I was deciding whether I wanted to just delete my save and restart, which I wasn't too excited about. But from reading, it sounded like it wasn't the end of the world and I would probably be fine to just kind of venture out into the universe, even though it was super early. Basically, I was feeling like I was off to a bad start and I was potentially missing out on some important stuff right away. Then I was really just spending a lot of time flying around trying to figure out what I should be doing, and I just felt like I was spending really a lot of time flying around. And I made the mistake of trying to do some small trading missions that, like it was for hardly any money and I thought I could figure it out, but I ended up having so many problems. I was at least kind of on the right track because I knew that I could use a third-party tool and I was using inara.cz to figure out where to get the items that I needed. But they turned out to be on a planet and not on a space station. So I spent all this time flying around trying to figure out how to land on a planet, and I flew past it and then it took forever and it was all this stuff. And then when I finally got there, the item that I needed to buy wasn't there because the data was too old on Inara. So I I just felt like I wasted basically my night. I was playing for basically hours trying to do this junk, and I came very close at that point to just saying, you know what, I'm gonna go back to playing Imperion or whatever whatever I had been playing. So then the next day I felt like playing again and giving it another try, and I was doing some little minor combat missions and such. I was still in the starter ship. I got blown up on a Threat Zero black box mission or whatever it was. I basically got ambushed by like two pirates and I got blown up and I was like, okay, that's fine. But I didn't realize you lose all your exploration data, and I also had a bounty that I didn't even really realize that I had yet at that point, and so I lost some stuff that would have been worth a fair amount of cash early on. Then one of the last major setbacks in my mind that made me just so flippin' frustrated, I didn't understand what the gimbaled weapons were, and I had switched ships. I bought like a slightly better ship, but it came with lasers that weren't gimbaled, and I went on a combat mission and it was against like a threat 1 or whatever pirate. Because my lasers weren't gimbaled, I wasn't hitting them as much as I needed to, and so it literally took me like half an hour of dogfighting to kill this like really piddly little pirate. But having the small success of earning some cash, actually completing some missions, and just starting to learn more about things like gimbaled weapons and being able to travel around faster, all these things were starting to add up to make me enjoy the game more and stop thinking about completely quitting it. And then I also started to learn a bit more about the background simulation and some of the stuff that happened in the past with the Thargoid War, and started to read about power play, and some of these other things were drawing me more into the game. And I also ended up getting enough credits that I was able to buy a Cobra Mark III, which I gather from reading is a great ship overall for someone in the earlier game like I am, and it does seem to be a big improvement over what I was using before. So overall, I am really liking the game now and I'm having a lot more fun. I'm glad I got over some of those initial hurdles and didn't give up. I saw somewhere that there is a percentage of players that start this game and end up giving up. I think that might be more than other games based on what I've seen, but I'd be curious to know more about that. I would also really like to hear your experiences, especially early on in the game. If you encountered some problems like this and felt like giving up, that would be cool if you want to leave a comment. So that's my video. Thank you very much for watching. It's much appreciated. And if you would like to subscribe, I would really love that as well. And I will be making more Elite Dangerous, X4 Foundations, Empyrean, and other content in the near future. Thanks and bye.